for wealth management that falls under the banking and financial services sector. And yeah, I've done my master's in business administration prior to joining my organization. And prior to that, I've done bachelor's of engineering in electronics and communication.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's briefly about me. So why don't you introduce yourself, Ruchi?
Okay. I did my graduation in commerce from India,
Okay.
and I've been here for quite some time now. And I was in management and accounting earlier, and after that, I left my job and I was taking care of home. And now I'm trying to get back into the market, and I sort of doing the BA and getting into this line.
Good. Okay. Okay. So you have done your bachelor's in commerce.
That's right.
Okay. And you worked as a management accountant.
Yes.
All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Richie. And what about you, Romana? I know you've spoken to me just a while ago, but for Ruchi's sake, could you please introduce yourself?
Well, I actually did my bachelor's in business administration with a concentration in human resources. And so I was working for a little while, and then, I got married, and then I moved to New Jersey. And so I kind of want to change my career path to business analyst. My husband was telling me that it's actually a really good field also. So, I want to get this done, and then hopefully I get a job ASAP.
Mm-hmm. Yes, your husband asked you to do it, but what's your opinion about it, Romana?
Oh, I actually was really looking forward to doing this too. I did my research about it too, and like how much they get paid, and like how it would be for me, and like I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, good. Thank you both for a brief introduction. Now let's start the session. Okay, now daily I guess this session will go on for an hour or so, and we are going to discuss the roles and responsibilities of a business analyst and how a business analyst will have to perform his day-to-day operations within a software project. Okay. Now today I am going to discuss about the course outline. So what is it that we're going to discuss in the upcoming sessions? So this is the course content. So these are the different topics we are going to discuss in the upcoming sessions. Now the first topic for the discussion would be Introduction to Business Analysis. And here I would be defining the term business analyst, and I would be explaining you the role of a business analyst within a software project. What does the term stand for? What are the different roles and responsibilities, etc., etc. Now, to give you a brief about the first topic, let me first start with a software company. Okay. Now, a software company is one that provides technology solutions to the business community. Okay. They get the clients, they approach the client, they sell their software applications or software projects, and that's how they get their revenue. That's the business model of any software company. I'm sure both of you must be aware of this. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Software company would be selling its software application or a software product to a client, and that's how they get their revenue.
Yes.
Now, when I say this, I'm broadly referring to two stakeholders. One, the technology people from the software company, and two, the business people or the client. Okay, so these are, Ruchi and Ruman, you can just feel free to stop me anywhere. In case you're not able to follow something, you can feel
Okay.
free to stop.
Sure.
Or in case you've got something to share, you can
Okay.
stop me.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so the two stakeholders, most important stakeholders when it comes to a software project are the technology people or the technology community or the programmers, and on the other side we have the business community or the end client.
Okay.
So the end client would have their own business needs, all right, and their nature of business can be different from one another.
Sure.
So one client can be into, let's say, healthcare, another client can be into automobile industry, another can be into manufacturing, one can be into banking and financial services. So a client can be running any kind of business, okay, and depending on their nature of business, their needs would differ, all right, and so their need would be purely from a business perspective. Now, this business need will have to get translated into a software application. Okay, it is this business need of the client that will have to get translated into a software application, and it's the technology community or the software programmers who will have to translate the business needs into the form of a software application. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, so needless to say, the clients will have their own language and they will have their own terminology. Okay. To give you an example, if the client's business is portfolio management or banking, they would be using terms like wealth management, capital markets, stock trading, equity, debt, etc., etc. Okay, if it's if the nature of business of a client is retail, they would be using terms like sales, retail, stores, products, product line, planogram, subcluster set, etc., etc. Now, I'm not sure if both of you had understood these terms, but I think few of these terms might not be understood by both of you. Similarly, all these terms might not be understood by the technology community or the technology people within the software community. But it is these terms used by the client that will have to get translated into a software application. But the challenge is, how do the programmers understand these terms? And this is where a business analyst will come into picture.
Okay.
Okay.
A business analyst would be a functional expert. He would be specializing in a particular functional area. A business analyst can be an expert in banking and financial services sector. He can be an expert in healthcare. He can be an expert in automobile. He would, and based on his educational background and work experience, he would become an expert, or he would specialize in his own area of specialization. Okay? So I specialize in portfolio management or wealth management. So most of the terms that would be used within the portfolio management or the wealth management industry would be understood by me. If not all the terms, at least most of the terms, most commonly used terms would be understood by me. But these terms might not be understood by the programmers.
So I have a question here.
Yeah, Ruchi.
Like you said, everybody has a specialty, and then based on that, you work in that field, and then you can translate those terms to your developers and programmers. But how about a person like me? Now, I've been out of the market for some time now. I will not say I have any specialization. It's been, even in accounting, finance, it's been so long that I've been out of it that I wouldn't know what's going on, like QuickBooks and things like that. I'm not very familiar with it right now. So even if I do the BA course, I would just be knowing, okay, this is what a BA does. Then how is it, am I going to be getting a job?
I got your question. So if you see the third bullet point here, okay, It says Wealth Management Introduction, Functional Perspective.
Okay.
Okay, and I would be providing a thorough training on wealth management or portfolio management to both of you. So
Okay.
this is a domain which is the most happening domain in the current market, and this falls under the investment banking or the BFSI segment, and there is huge scope for business analysts within this domain. And I would be training you, both of you, thoroughly on this domain. So be rest assured that you would gain some amount of functional expertise on wealth management or portfolio management by end of our training module.
So this will give us like a upper hand for banking, jobs in banking area, right?
Yeah, jobs in the BFSI segment.
What is BFI segment?
Banking and financial services industry.
Okay.
So this is a subset of the banking industry.
Okay.
Banking is a huge domain,
Yes,
and
sure.
within that there are a lot of subsets, and portfolio management is one such subset within the banking domain that's got huge scope, especially in the North American countries like the US and the Canada.
Okay.
Okay, so currently the project that I'm working on caters to the business needs of large banks in Canada.
Okay.
Okay, now I can't name those banks for you. So when I said large banks, you must be able to understand which banks I'm talking about in Canada. Can you think of any, Ruchi?
I have no clue about banks in Canada.
Okay.
I don't know.
Rumana, what about you?
I have no idea.
Okay, okay, no problem. But I'm sorry I can't name those banks for you because
That's okay. We can Google it.
Yeah, I was actually just Googling it right now.
oh my God. Okay, so in due course you would get to know those names. Not to worry about that. So be rest assured, Ruchi. So you will definitely gain a lot of knowledge on the wealth management domain. I might not be able to train you on QuickBooks accounting softwares, but definitely I can train you on this domain.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so yeah, I was so in a way, the role of a business analyst would be an intermediary role between the client and the technology community within the software company. So the business analyst would act as an intermediary and would ensure that the terms and that the terms used by the client is easily understood by the software programmers and testers.
Okay, so basically a business analyst works as a mediator?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So he is a liaison between the client and the software company.
Okay.
So how does he make sure that the needs of the client are understood by the software programmers is what we would be learning in this training module. So it's easier said than done, but it can be easily said that the needs of the client will have to be translated into requirements, but how is it that it has to be done? So that would be very interesting to know, and we would definitely get into that in the upcoming sessions. I would also be discussing a lot of real-time examples and would be handing over a lot of assignments to you both, and you would get a hands-on experience with respect to the role of a business analyst within the wealth management space.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so just bear in mind that as rightly pointed by Rumana, it's a kind of a mediator. Business analyst is a kind of a mediator or an intermediary or a liaison between the client and the software company.
Okay.
So this is the broad definition of a business analyst. But we will look more about the role. So this is what we would be discussing in that session, Introduction to Business Analysis. So the role of a business analyst, expected qualities or desired profile, why is a BA needed, and the role of a BA from the project initiation till the UAT. When I say UAT, it stands for User Acceptance Testing. Okay. So this is broadly what we would be discussing in the introductory session, which would be happening in the next session. Okay. Now, the next topic, I mean, having understood the role of a business analyst, we would then move to something called system development life cycle. Okay. As human beings, we have a life cycle. Okay. Can any of you tell me the life cycle of a human being?
Born as a baby,
Okay.
then you grow to a young.
Toddler, you become a.
So one at a time. So first half would be done by Ruchi and the next half would be done by Rumana.
Okay.
So you're born as a baby, and then you grow into a young kid as a youth, and then of course you grow old, so you're like an adult.
You've gone too fast, Ruchi. So
Okay.
go step by step, phase by phase.
Okay.
Okay, born as a kid, then become a youth, young kid, then youth. So what about education? What about?
Okay, yeah. So you're learning since you're born, you're learning at every stage. You learn to crawl, walk, then
Right.
you learn to run, then you learn to eat, you learn things in the world, you do your education step by step from schooling to college to a professional course.
Okay.
And
Fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. From there on, Rumana will proceed.
Okay, and then eventually, I mean, if you want a family, you get that, and then you work for a long time, and then you eventually retire, and then you grow old, and then you die.
And then you're born again. You believe in life after death? If you believe, then you would be saying that you would be born
Oh,
again.
yes, I forgot about that. I actually believe in that. So, yeah,
Okay.
You're born again.
Okay. And then the cycle continues.
Same cycle starts.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So similarly, a software project also has its own cycle, life cycle. Okay. Now, so the first phase would be a project initiation. So somebody has a business need. Some company has its own business need, and they would approach the software company to requesting them to provide them with a technological solution. So that's where the project gets kicked off. Okay. Now, as soon as both the parties get into a contract, get into a deal with each other, agreeing to the terms and conditions of the contract, then the nature of the business will have to be understood by the software company. So how is that understood? Is by seeking the business analyst's help. So the business analyst will interact with the client, conduct a lot of interview sessions, get into a lot of meetings with the client, and will make sure that the nature of the business of the client is clearly understood. Okay. Now, having understood the nature of business, the needs will have to be gathered as requirements. So what exactly do they require from the software company? So that also will have to be done by the business analyst. So the first phase of the system development life cycle, or the life cycle of the software project, is the project initiation or the project kickoff. Now, once the project gets kicked off, when I say project getting kicked off, I am referring to both the parties getting into an agreement or a contract. Now,
Okay.
after that, it is about understanding the nature of business. Now, a business analyst would understand the nature of business of the client, and having understood that, he will have to then translate those needs into requirements. Now, so the requirements are also clear. In some cases, the requirements can run to few hundreds. Okay, so based on the complexity of the project, the number of requirements would vary. Okay, so when we are talking about few hundreds of requirements, it would be very essential for all those requirements to get recorded. So because the client expectation is that all the requirements will have to get translated or will have to get reflected in the software application. So to ensure this, it is very important to document those requirements or record those requirements. Okay, now here is where the most important function or the role of a business analyst would come into picture, and it is called documentation.
Okay.
Okay, so when I'm talking about documentation, I am basically referring to two documents, namely BRD and FSD. So BRD stands for Business Requirement Document, and the FSD stands for Functional Specification Document. It is these documents that would capture all the requirements of the client. Okay, now
Okay.
after gathering the requirements will have to be documented, as I told you. And now, after the requirements are documented, the software programming team will come into picture, and they would start their coding activity or coming up with the design. Okay, now they would start using some programming languages, they would start coding, and they will make sure that the requirements would get translated into the form of a software application or a software product. Now, after this, to ensure quality, the testing team, the software testing team will come into picture and would test the application or the product thoroughly end to end.
Right.
Okay, so we are talking about two teams here. The team that translates the requirements into software application would be called as the development team, the team that develops the software, and then we are talking about the testing team or the QA team. Okay,
Quality
so
assurance.
it is this test. Sorry, Romana.
Was that quality assurance team? Or?
Exactly. QA stands for quality assurance.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we
So,
going to be covering some part of QA also in this?
of course, yes. So if you can see this bullet point, it talks about software testing.
Okay.
So there are two ways in which a software can be tested. One is manual testing, and the other is automated testing. And automated testing would be out of scope of this training session because I am not aware of automation.
Okay. Another question here. Aren't we supposed to be doing some part of testing themselves also, because they are the ones who've met with the clients, they know of the exact requirements?
Of course, of course. So BA cannot stand aloof from the testing part of it. I will come to that. So if you can see this bullet point in this slide, it says role of a BA from requirement gathering till UAT, and as I told you before, UAT stands for user acceptance testing. This UAT is something is a kind of testing that would be done at the client's end, and in most of the cases it is the BA who would be performing the user acceptance testing.
Okay.
Not just during the UAT phase, but even during the actual testing, the BA would come into picture. So I'll come to that.
All right.
Okay. Now, now that the software, the requirements would get translated into the software application, and the application would be thoroughly tested end to end by the testing team or the QA team. QA stands for the quality assurance. So having tested thoroughly, now the application, if the software company, if the management of the software company is confident enough, they would hand over the software application or the product to the client. Okay. Now, after handing over the software product to the client, thorough testing will have to be done at the client's end, and it is this testing which is called as the UAT.
Okay.
Testing that would be performed at the client's end is called UAT. Okay, and in most of the cases, unless a tester is too smart or too good in his job, in most of the other cases, a business analyst would be performing the UAT.
Okay.
Okay. Now, after performing the UAT, the software company will then have to do a little bit of maintenance, or this would be called as the warranty period. After handing over the software product to the client, for few months, the software company should support the client. So while using the software application newly, the client might face various issues, and for a period of time, for few months, it is the responsibility of the software company to support the client whenever they come across issues while using the software application. Now, post-maintenance is when the life cycle would come to an end. Okay?
Okay.
Is this clear? If you've got anything to ask, please feel free to ask, because this is very important for us to understand. Or if you've got anything to share, please feel free to do so.
No, I think I'm clear till now.
Yeah, me
Okay.
too.
Okay. Now, either of you will have to summarize the SDLC for me now. Now that you've understood that clearly, it's a small test for you. Either Ruchi or Rumana will summarize the SDLC.
Okay.
Who is it? Should I
It's
toss a
not
coin?
gonna be me.
So it's Ruchi.
Okay. um, so it's a client comes up with some form of requirement, and then that requirement is understood by the BA, the analyst, and then the requirement is told to the software company. They go to a software company and tell them what their requirement is, and then they come up with a plan or a design, and that's that design, that's the BA's job is between the client, or the design is taken back to the client to show if it's meeting all the requirements, and if they have something to add into it, they add it, and the BA takes it back to the software company and explains to them, or adds the more requirements that are needed, and then a product is then developed. And then after its development, it is then tested to see if it is meeting all the requirements. And after the initial testing is done, the product is handed over to the clients, and then the clients test it if it is according to their specifications, and that part of testing is done again probably by the BA. And after that, the final testing is done, then the product is open to the market.
Fantastic. Great job, Ruchi.
Thank you.
I'm happy that you understood it clearly, crystal clearly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
And,
basically,
yeah,
the
ma'am.
business analyst is basically the mediator again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so if we notice, or after once we are done with a few sessions, you would notice that at every stage of the system development life cycle, the business analyst will come into picture. Okay. So I'll come to that. There is a misconception that the role of a business analyst would end after requirement gathering, but that's not the case. The business analyst will have to be, obviously will have to be present during the requirement gathering phase. He would then have to document the requirements, and then he will have to support the development team when they're actually translating the requirements into a product. They will encounter with a lot of issues with respect to understanding the requirements. The business analyst will have to clear all those requirements, and then during testing also the business analyst will have to review the test cases written by the testing team, will have to make sure all the requirements are thoroughly tested. He will have to review the test execution that's done by the testing team, and it is the business analyst who would be performing the UAT. So there is a misconception that the role of a business analyst would end with the requirement gathering, but that's not the case. So as we progress, it would be obvious to you, for both of you, that a business analyst would come into picture at every stage of the SDLC, or the system development lifecycle.
Okay. Now again, Sai, I have another question here. Based on my first question again, it's we're going to be going through this vendor company, and we don't know where we are placed. So whichever, and the client could be anybody. It could be somebody from the wealth management, the financial, the banking sector, or could be somebody else. Once we do the BA course, we understand okay, this is the role, this is how we go about it. But if it is something that we haven't done here, how is this course going to help us with some other field of a BA? For example, you have, like the last point here you have is mobile application testing. Suppose it's a mobile company. Now, the requirements of a mobile company are totally different from a banking company. So if we are only taught about the banking part of it, or the financial part of it, what are we supposed to do if we get a job in a mobile company?
So, I mean, I only specialize in the portfolio management or wealth management space, Ruchi. Now, when coming to the last point, now when I say mobile application testing, I'm talking about mobile applications on wealth management.
Right. Oh, okay. But what I'm talking about is...
I got your point. I got your point. So we will have to choose one area. Okay. So obviously one cannot be expert in all the industries. So based on our educational background, so yes. I understand you've done commerce. So
yes.
You would be expected to be to have some kind of an understanding about commerce. Okay.
Right.
And when you apply for telecom, let me give you this example. Even if you're applying for a telecom sector, okay, the recruiters might not be interested in your profile because you have you have done your commerce and you're applying for a telecom job. Okay, so the recruiters might not be interested. So you will have to essentially apply for jobs, for business analyst jobs in the respective domain. So because you've done something on commerce, so you will have to apply either on banking, accounts, or wealth management or investment banking.
Okay.
So that's how you should be proceeding. And let me also tell you that no recruiter would expect a business analyst to be an expert in all the domains. Okay. A business analyst would be expected to be an expert only in one domain of his or her own choice, or based on his or her educational background and work experience.
Okay. Okay. That's
okay.
Good. Yes.
Okay. Rumana, you had something to say?
No, that's about it.
Okay. Okay. Now, so now we understand that the role of a business analyst comes into picture at every stage of the SDLC. Now, having understood that, we would then be looking into the area of specialization, and the domain or the functional area that we would be discussing throughout this training session is going to be wealth management. Okay? Now, what's your understanding of this term, wealth management? This time, Rumana.
Okay, well, my understanding of wealth management is basically managing it's kind of like just like its name, like managing the wealth, right? Of a company, of a firm, investment firm. Yeah.
Income, expenditure, investment.
Revenue,
Yeah.
Okay.
basically.
Okay. Now, Ruchi and Rumana, I don't know your income levels, but I'm sure, at least in India, there is a tendency of not spending the entire monthly income.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
Ruchi
Saving.
must be able to understand this better
Yes.
because of your Indian background.
Yes.
So, and Rumana, I don't know, do you have this habit of saving some part of your monthly income?
Yes.
You do it, right?
Yeah, I do.
You are a Native American, or which part of the country, world you are from, Rumana?
Oh, well, my parents are from India, but I was born and raised over here in the States.
Okay, all right, all right. So, I mean, like a company, an individual also has his own income and expenditure. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I'm just quoting you an example in Indian rupee. I'm not talking in terms of dollars, because I can relate to Indian rupee. Now, let's say, if can you relate to Indian rupee, Rumana?
A little bit. I
Okay, then
mean,
I'll go with the dollar only. So let's say my income, I don't know if it's high or low, but I'm just quoting you an example. Let's say my income is $10,000 a month.
Okay.
okay.
Fair enough? Is that fair enough, or
Yeah,
am I
that's quite
quoting
It's
too
high,
high?
okay. It's
actually.
Okay,
Wow.
okay. Now let's say my okay. Now let's say I earn $1 million a year. That should be the figure that we should be talking, because here when I say wealth management, we are dealing with not the retail clients, but we are dealing with high net worth individuals. I'll talk more about these terms very soon, but for now, let's stick to this figure, $1 million a year. That's my income. Okay.
Okay.
So obviously, I would have my own expenses. Okay. So let's say I will have to pay for my child education. I will have to pay my fuel expense. I will have to pay for my electricity bill. I will have to pay my insurance. I will, etc., etc. So I would have my own expense. Now,
Yeah.
after meeting all the expenses, I would be left with surplus. Yeah.
Yes.
Or I might be running short also.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just in case I have a surplus. Okay. What is it that I do with the surplus?
You save it.
Yeah, I save it. Yeah, it's there.
Or you
But
can
where is
invest.
it? Yes, there you are. So you can save it, but how is it that you're going to save it? Are you just going to keep it in your bank account?
No.
Make sure it
You
sits
could invest
idle,
it.
not in. Sorry.
You could invest it. Also.
Exactly. So that's what wealth management company would do. Okay.
Okay.
Now you invest it. You can invest it all by yourself, or you can approach an expert and ask them to invest on your behalf by paying commission to the expert. Now, when I say expert, I'm referring to a company and not to an individual.
Okay.
Okay, it could be individuals also, but most of the cases, high net worth individuals. Now, when I use this term, high net worth individuals, I am talking about affluent people.
Like
Okay.
like you could invest it like an investment bank, right?
Yeah, big investment. I'm talking of investment worth at least $1 million.
Okay.
And in Indian context, it's at least 1 crore rupees. Do you understand that, Ruchi?
Yes.
Yeah. So 1 crore rupees, 1 crore rupee.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the size of the investment that we are talking about. So if now a person with this much of amount obviously will be someone from the top management of a corporate, or would be uh, uh, a business magnate. So who would not have the time? He might have the knowledge, but he would just not have the time to take care of his investments. And it is for this reason that he approaches a wealth management company and requests them to manage his wealth by paying certain commission to the wealth management company. So a wealth management company is one that takes care of the investments of affluent people or high net worth individuals and ensure that their money doesn't sit idle. Instead, it generates interest.
Right.
Okay. Now, traditionally, wealth management was seen as mere investing. Okay. Now, traditionally, wealth management was seen as mere investing. So, people assume that the wealth management company would collect money from all rich people, and they would only invest it in the stock market, and their only objective is to generate returns out of it.
Right.
But gone are those days. So today, wealth management companies take care of the entire financial life of a high net worth individual.
Okay.
Okay. So when I say taking care of the entire financial life of the high net worth individual, let me dwell more into this now. Let's say, Ruchi, as an individual, okay,
Yes.
what are your financial goals?
Financial goals to be able to meet all my requirements plus have some extra to be invested so I can grow it further.
Okay, okay. And Romana, what would be your financial goal?
Like particularly, my financial goals right now would be to save enough money to buy a bigger house.
Great.
And then obviously I would want to save up for my kids and their colleges and have a trust fund for them eventually.
Great, great.
And
So,
then in the far future, I would want to save up for retirement, of course.
spot on. So Romana is spot on, and she exactly spoke about the financial goals of any individual, especially a high net worth individual. Now, as a rich person, or as an affluent person, I would, or no, financial goals can be for anybody, be it rich, poor, so middle class. It can be for anybody, but essentially we are only talking about high net worth individuals when it comes to wealth management business. So we will, for discussion's sake, let us stick to high net worth individuals or affluent people. So as a rich person, I might have various financial goals. My first goal could be funding my child education, and then I might want to buy a property. A property could be a house or a land or a piece of land, and then I might want to build a corpus. Okay, let's say I don't know how old you are, but let's say in case you are 30, when you are 40, you might want to have a corpus of $1 billion. Okay, so that could be a financial goal. And then vehicle purchase, you want to buy a fancy four-wheeler, Lamborghini or etc. I don't know what, but that's also a financial goal. At the end of this year, I would want to buy a luxury car,
Right.
an SUV, sports utility vehicle, or a sports car. So that could be a financial goal. And retirement planning. Now, post-retirement, the income will not be there. So only when people work, they would be getting income. But once retired, they would not have any income. But they would want to lead the same kind of lifestyle, if not a better lifestyle. They would want to lead the same kind of lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they want to lead the same kind of lifestyle, they will have to meet all the expenses like how they used to do it before.
Right.
But the challenge here is they would not have any income.
Yeah.
So how is this addressed? So a corpus will have to be built. Okay, a corpus large enough to cater to all the expenses from retirement till the end of life. You got my point?
Yes.
Yeah. So these are some of the financial goals that we are talking about. So earlier, people, wealth management companies only used to take money, they used to invest, and they used to ensure that returns are generated. Now, that's not what is expected out of a wealth management company today. A wealth
But
management company, yeah.
sorry, these are like goals for an individual. How about for the financial goals of a company? Is like the software companies develop it for, they're going to be developing it for a company who has these kind of individuals investing in them.
Exactly, exactly.
Right. So, but I'm sure the company financial goals would be a little different from the individual.
No, no. So we are getting confused here, Ruchi. So let me tell you, as you rightly said, it
Right.
is for a wealth management company that the software provider would be providing the software product.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the wealth management company has numerous such high net worth individuals. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay.
Okay.
So they will have to manage the wealth of thousands of high net worth individuals.
Okay.
Okay. If they have to manage wealth of a single individual, they can easily keep a record of it. They can either write it on a piece of paper and keep a record of it.
Yeah.
Okay. But when we are talking about thousands and thousands of clients, then
Yeah.
definitely technology help is needed.
Right.
But the financial goals of a company are different from the financial goals of an individual. Here
Right.
we are talking about financial goals of numerous investors, and we are not talking about the financial goals of a company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let
Okay.
me give you an example. Uh, what example do I give you? Have you both heard about ICICI?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Industrial Credit Investment Corporations of India, or okay, let me not give you an Indian example. Okay, now what do I give it? JP Morgan
Yep.
Yes.
or Goldman Sachs.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now or for that matter, let me give you a Canadian example. Bank of Montreal.
Never heard of it.
Not heard of
Oh my
it.
God. Okay, now because I'm working on it, because that's the client I'm working for, let me give you that example. Now you know the name of the bank, Bank of Montreal.
Huh?
It's in Canada. It's one of the biggest banks in the world. But yeah, now this bank also has its wealth management arm, which is called as the Bank of Montreal Wealth Management. Okay.
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 Now what they do is they get in a lot of clients. Okay. They are typically talking about a few thousands of clients, high net worth individuals, and all their money is grouped. Okay, and it is that money that will have to be managed.
Okay.
They will have to consider the financial goals of every single individual within these 1,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are talking about the goals, financial goals of the individual, but the financial goals of Bank of Montreal would be different.
Right.
Their financial goal would be to generate X amount of revenue in the next upcoming financial year.
Okay.
Yes.
Their financial goal would be to be among the top banks in North America.
Yeah.
Yes.
So understand that the financial goal of a company is different from the financial goal of an individual.
Yes.
Right.
Of course.
You got my point, Ruchi? Does that answer your question?
A little bit. Yes.
Okay. You would understand more of it when once we are discussing about this module in
Okay.
specific. Okay. So this is the nature of business. So this is what wealth management companies do. They take care of the entire financial life of a high net worth individual. They would ensure all the financial goals of the high net worth individual are met. So
Okay.
their relation with a high net worth individual would be at least for 15 to 50 years. Because
Okay.
throughout the life of the high net worth individual, they will have to maintain the relationship.
Yeah.
So it's a long lasting relationship or a long lasting business that we are talking about here.
Okay.
And definitely, because we are talking about money that runs into few billions of dollars, definitely there is scope for software companies here.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so more of a domain aspect we would be discussing, and it is this domain that you're going to get knowledge on, and not on any other domain, because I'm not aware of any other domain other than this. Yes,
Okay.
if you a little bit of banking I can do, but this is the most sought after domain in the industry currently, and hence I would be talking about this domain.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, having understood the domain or the functional aspect of it, now the core BA skills is what we would be discussing from then on. So, as I was telling you, the most important role of a business analyst would be to gather the requirements. Okay. Now, so when we are talking about a wealth management company, so what could be the requirements, Ruchi?
Of a wealth management company?
Yeah. What could be
Okay.
their need? What could be? Why should they approach a software company?
They'll need something to be, so that because they have different clients will
Yeah.
have different needs, so they should have a collaborative system which should be able to take care of their individual needs as well as the overall need of a company included.
Which company? So that's where you're getting confused, Ruchi. So when you said they will have to take care of the needs of the individual, I agree. But what company are you talking about here?
The investment company that they come to, that the
Who
individuals,
comes in?
the high net worth individuals will all go to this particular company, who
Yeah.
will then give their software requirements to a software development company.
Okay. Could you rephrase or repeat it?
Okay, it's like say ICICI Bank. So the
Uh-huh.
individuals, the high net worth individuals will go to ICICI Bank to invest their money. Now,
Exactly.
the ICICI Bank is the one that will be going to the software
Exactly.
company to get a
Exactly.
software made. So what the ICICI Bank would need is that their software should be able to meet the needs of each individual,
Exactly.
whatever they require, whatever they want to be able to do with their money. Some of the
Exactly.
requirements will be the same for everybody, but some of
Exactly.
the requirements may vary depending on a different person. That
Agree.
all need to be met by the software developing company, plus the goal of the ICICI Bank itself. They want to be one of the major banks. They want to be
No,
able
no,
to.
that's out of scope. That's completely out of scope, and that's completely irrelevant.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
that is what
Now
my
the
my point
companies.
was. Are they that is what I was getting confused. I thought the individual, the needs of the each individual plus the needs of the company
No,
itself.
no, no. If they want to meet their own financial goals, they would have to go for a different software altogether.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Romana, you got me?
Yeah, I got you. That's what I was thinking, what Ruchi was saying.
So
Right.
yeah, Ruchi, so please at least now I think you are clear about it. So
Yes.
these are two
Now I
different
got it.
aspects that we are talking about, two totally different aspects. So one is the financial goals of the bank, in this case ICICI Bank, and the other is the financial needs of the clients of the ICICI Bank.
Right.
So this software, okay, would only cater to the needs of the individuals of the bank, who are the clients of the bank. And
Okay.
if they have to take care of their own, if the company's financial goals will have to be met, then they will have to go for a different software. Then it's a completely different story that we are talking about, and that would be completely out of scope.
Okay, but
That's not what we are going to talk about.
isn't that also part of, like will be a part of a BA to meet the requirements of the, because I mean, we could be doing anything. We could either be in a line where we have to, where the company comes up with the requirements of the clients, or we could be in a line where the company come up with its own requirements.
Exactly. So these are two different things. So based on the requirement, the software will have to be developed, and based on the requirement, the business analyst will have to clearly define the scope of the project. So what is it that the company wants? Do they want their own financial goals to be met, or do they want their clients' financial goals to be met?
Right.
So what is it that they want? So if they want both, I'm afraid it can't be done by a single software, because the business itself is entirely different. So the
Okay.
investments that someone will have to do is totally different. So investments that will have to be done for a client will be entirely different from the investments that will have to be done by the corporate. Okay.
Okay. So they have
So
to use like two different softwares.
exactly, exactly.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So the requirement gathering. Yeah. You were spot on, Ruchi, when you said the requirement of the client will have to be met.
Right.
So the business analyst will have to gather all those requirements from the wealth management company. What is it that they are looking for? How many clients are they targeting? So what's the size of their basket? So is it a few thousands of dollars? Is it a few millions of dollars? Or is it billions of dollars, trillions, etc., etc.? And how many transactions are carried out on a single day? So these are some of the things that the business analyst will have to understand, and these are some of the requirements that he will have to gather. And then, as I told you before, the requirements will then have to be documented, and BRD and FSD documents stand as a kind of Bible for the entire software company. Especially FSD would be used by most of the stakeholders within the software company. They refer constantly to this document to understand the requirements. And there is something called MS Visio, Microsoft Visio. Just as we have our Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, we also have something called Visio, and this MS Visio is the most commonly used tool by the entire BA fraternity. So MS Visio is used to create flow charts that would serve the purpose of a workflow diagram. So each requirement, I mean, if I have to explain something by just talking,
Yeah.
and if I have to explain something by showing a video or a visual, there's a huge difference. So a visual or a video is gets easily stored into our memory rather than talking about it or writing a lengthy
Right.
essay about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so entire requirement instead, I mean, yes, it has to be elaborated, it has to be put in words, but if the entire requirement can be put in the form of a picture or in the form of a flow chart, the workflow, that becomes easy for someone who's looking at the document. So
Right.
essentially, every requirement will have to be present in the form of a flow chart. And to create flow chart, business analysts would be using MS Visio, and I will teach you how to learn how to use MS Visio and create a flow chart or a workflow diagram. Now,
Okay.
and then we would move to the software testing part of it, and so it is this team, it is the software testing team that would ensure the quality. So the quality goes hand in hand with the software testing team. So there are two ways of testing. One is the manual part of it, and the other is the automation part of it. So as I told you before, automation part of it is out of scope because I'm not aware of it. And when it comes to manual testing, how it is done is the testing team would write test cases. We will understand as we progress about a test case. So test cases that are written will have to be reviewed by the business analyst. If some requirement is not captured, that will have to be pointed out by the business analyst, and it will have to be included as part of the test case. And it is these test cases that will be executed or tested. So that's about software testing, and with that, all the skills of a BA would have been covered, and then we get into the resume preparation part of it. Okay, so how should a resume look like? If it's a fresher's resume, if it's an experienced candidate's resume, how should it look like? What are the most important content that should be present in it? What are the terms that would grab the recruiter's attention is something that we would be discussing in the resume preparation. And then just as we have MS Visio, there are a lot of other tools that are available in the market that are used by business analysts these days, and some of those tools, some of the most important tools, or some of the upcoming trends within the business analysis is what we will be discussing in this segment. And finally, how to test a mobile application. So, heard about WhatsApp?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that's a social networking mobile application. So similarly, there could be mobile applications on each domain. Okay. Now, when it comes to e-commerce, we have a Flipkart application, Amazon application. Heard of it?
No.
How do you use your mobile to buy and sell goods?
I'm sorry? I didn't get that.
Okay. Now, heard about Flipkart?
No, I didn't.
Ruchi, you didn't hear about Flipkart?
No.
Amazon?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So Amazon, what do you use Amazon for?
Buying
For buying
products.
various things, anything, any product.
Yeah. So any product, right? So 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 they have their own website, and we log into that website in order to buy and sell goods. Yeah.
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 So similarly, now these days, people have started using mobile, their phones to use the internet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So a small version of the entire website can be provided on a mobile telephone. Agree?
Right. Yes.
So that's a mobile application that I'm talking about, something like a WhatsApp.
Okay.
Okay, so each industry might have its own mobile application. So there are few mobile applications that are available within the wealth management space. So an investor can quickly log in to this mobile application and check in his portfolio. He can check what is his portfolio's worth on any given day and at any given point of time. He can check the market, whether the Nasdaq has gained today or it fell today. He can log into the mobile application and check the global markets, how the Indian market is doing, how the US market is doing, how the emerging markets are doing, etc., etc. So that is the kind of mobile application that we are talking about.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
Got it.
So if a software company, it is, and please understand, it's a software company that would be developing even a mobile application. Okay. Now, because it's a software application, again it will have to be tested. So how to test a mobile application? So just as a software product is tested on a laptop or a desktop, a mobile application will have to be tested on a phone.
Okay.
Okay. So how is that testing done? This is just a value add that I would be providing. So this is an upcoming trend. Mobile applications are capturing a lot of market area these days, and so it would be good to know how to test a mobile application or know something about mobile application within the wealth management space. So this is something that we are going to discuss from the next session onwards, Ruchi and Roman. So
Okay.
anything to ask, any doubts, any thoughts to share?
Yeah, I had a question. I was doing some research on BA, and then I heard about these waterfall model, agile model, WBS. Now, these are big terms for me as far as I'm concerned right now because I don't know anything at all. So what are these, and are they going to be doing these?
There are a lot of models when it comes to software industry. There is something called agile methodology, waterfall model, V-shaped model. So these are some of the models that a particular software company would adapt in order to ensure the project rolls out smoothly. So we might be discussing about agile methodology. Heard about it, Ruchi?
Yeah, I heard about it, but I don't know what it is.
Yes, we might be discussing. In case we have time, we might be discussing about agile methodology. Now, basically, these are. Let me tell you, these are textbook stuff, okay? And when it comes to the practicality, when it comes to real-time world,
Yeah.
unknowingly people might be using it, but they might not do it deliberately. So, knowingly or unknowingly, they might be using one of these models. But having said that, some software companies deliberately stick to a few of these models. They can use a waterfall model, they can use an agile methodology. But having said that, though some companies don't stick to any of these strictly, unknowingly they might be using one of these. So it's not always mandatory to be knowing these models. I mean, while facing interview, there are very few instances where a recruiter would be asking about these methodologies to a BA.
Okay.
So these are some of the questions that might be put to the developers or the testers, but these might not be asked expected from a BA.
Okay.
Okay. But what are these? These are like tools or what are these?
No, these are models. These are models. How should a project be carried out?
Oh, okay. Like so more in the planning part of it, designing part of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And there is something I heard about a JAD, Joint Application Development.
Joint application, sessions. These are, so that comes in the requirement gathering. Let me show you. So you see this JAD sessions.
Yes.
So we will be discussing JAD sessions. So that's core aspect of the role of a business analyst, and it would be under the requirement gathering session. So we would be discussing about JAD.
Okay.
And another
It's just a
term is
requirement gathering.
WBS, which I could not find at all what it stands for.
Work. It stands for work breakdown structure.
Okay.
Okay.
And are we going to be, what does that mean? Are we doing it?
That is so kind of a workflow that when I was talking about Visio, you remember I was talking about the workflow or the flow chart.
Yes.
So breaking down the whole project into different works is what is meant by work breakdown structure.
Okay.
Breaking down the entire project into different work.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's a kind of a workflow diagram or a flow chart. Okay.
Okay.
So all this that you're talking about is textbook stuff, Ruchi. So when it comes to the practicality, so unknowingly, business analysts would be using these terms, but good to know about these terms. But practically, there could be very few instances in would be where a business analyst would.
Right. No, this what I'm looking for is as the. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No problem. Go ahead, Ruchi.
Okay. So what I'm looking for is once I'm done with the course, I should be able to get a job. I don't mean to start at like a 20 years experience or so. I'll start at a base. I'm fine with that. But I need to know and at least be able to deliver what I'm asked of, should be able to do my job correctly. It should not be that at the end of the course, I know all the terms, I know how it works, but when it comes to the technicality of it, I don't know anything. When they give me something to work on, I just sit there staring that, oh, I've heard this term or I studied about it, but I don't know what to do or how to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So, knowing the definitions of all these terms will not help, but how to practically be able to use it is what is most important, and that's what that's why I've included this domain here. And from that domain per se, you would not just be understanding the definition of the terms that you just told, but you would also know how to use them, how to implement them in the workplace.
Right. Are we also going to do some examples, some real-time scenarios? Okay.
Definitely. I mean, I think we are running short of time, but I have a lot of real-time examples and real-time assignments. So, not to worry.
Are we going to start that next week on Monday?
Yes, the next session I think would be on Monday.
So tonight, do we have any homework?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Sai. Yes, the next session would be at the same time, Romana, at 11 a.m. in the Eastern Time.